Okay, for the record, this is position 5 on today's civil bench trial calendar, All Four Seasons Incorporated versus Marius Barksdale. All Four Seasons is here being represented by the owner, Ben Watkins. Mr. Barksdale is here being represented by Janae Peterson. Mr. Watkins, I'm going to swear you in, and then I want to hear your side of the case. Okay, raise your right hand for me, please. And you also, Mr. Barksdale. Do you swear affirm any statements you make during this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so my understanding of this case, Mr. Watkins, is that there was a garage installed, or garage door installed, and the original, I think, bill said $2,001. Hold on one second.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's true. I'm sorry. I was muted.
Oh, okay. So let me hear about the installation of this door, and how much, if any, were you paid for the installation of the door?
We've been paid nothing for the door that I'm aware of. Anyways, that's what I've been told. As far as the installation, this is how it went. We went out the first time. We're missing one of the sections. Made an appointment for, I believe it was 8 to 10 to come back on a second visit to finish the installation. Because of the fact that my installer was coming back with that, he did set a remote so that he could get into the garage to do the work from the outside. That's the defendant, Mr. Barksdale, did not show up on time for the appointment. He went in the garage, installed the final section, finished the installation. Mr. Barksdale came at that point. That's what, my understanding, of course, is that's what he's upset about, that he had set that remote. And whether he should or shouldn't have done that, he was doing it to install the door. That's what he did. Everything else was fine. There was nothing in the garage. Since that point, probably 5 different people at our company have talked to Mr. Barksdale. We even offered him $100 or $200 off at that particular time, just for his, because he was so upset about that remote being set. He never told us nothing was taken. There was nothing done to him. Sent my manager out, Kevin, to reset all of his remotes so that he would not feel in any way at all like there was any chance that my installer could just come in at some point into his house. Made him perfectly aware of all the situation. Nothing was ever good enough for Mr. Barksdale. I mean, the correlation between this set remote and the fact that he owes this bill, there really is, in my opinion, no correlation at all for the money off. And at this point, we have court costs. We have so many hours of time that he has wasted in my office with all my personnel over this issue, over just trying to collect a bill. So we're really to the point where we just want to get our money for the door that we put in for him and move on.
Miss Peterson?
Yes, Judge. We believe that plaintiff is making very light of the right to privacy that is entitled to.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to cross-examine Mr. Watkins.
Oh, okay. I thought I was doing my opening. Sorry, Judge.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. So, Mr. Watkins, you are the owner of All Four Seasons, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And how many times have you spoken to Mr. Barksdale yourself?
One time.
And what was the content of the conversation?
Oh, just basically I said, listen, I apologize for him setting the remote up. He did nothing out of that there was nothing he was trying to do other than to be efficient getting the garage door installed properly. At that time I offered him, and I can't remember if it was $100 or $200 off, just to put his mind at ease, to make him feel better. We're a big customer service company and we want everybody to be very happy when they're done. And as you can see with our reviews or whatever, that's what we do. We make people happy. So that's what I was trying to do as an owner, to just make a situation finally go away so we could all move on with our lives.
And you said you don't recall the exact amount that you were offering for a discount. Or do you have any kind of paperwork that you can refer to, or anyone who has given you any information as to what
I'm sure I could get back with you if you'd like to do this at a different time, and I could get you that information if you'd like.
Okay. The next question I'm going to ask you is in relation to the initial install. Do you recall the installed panels being dented in or bent at any point in time?
We had a bad section. So yeah, we did. And that's what we were coming back to replace.
Okay. So that was on the initial date of install. Now, how long after that initial date did you have someone come to repair those?
It was probably 4 or 5 weeks later, because we had to order the section to get the correct section for him.
Okay, so the install of the garage panels took place on one full day. They were dented in, and it took 4 to 5 weeks to complete something that took one day to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Nowadays, it takes a lot longer.
Okay. Well, who installed the garage initially?
My installer, Billy.
Was Billy the initial person who you sent out to do the install?
Yes.
Buford Crockett.
What's that?
Buford Crockett was the initial installer.
Oh, excuse me. A guy by the name of Buford Crockett was the first guy that came out. Crawford.
Okay.
Crawford.
So that was a different person as to who you sent out to repair the panels. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was that person?
Billy.
Okay. At the time Billy came out, had Mr. Barksdale already received his garage door opener for his garage?
Had he received, if this is what we're talking about, I was not present for this. Would it make more sense to have my installer here? I didn't know that we were.
Yes, he'll be questioned as well. You just answered the questions.
Okay. Then yeah, I can't tell you that. So we could get back to that too. That's another one that if you'd like me to find out, I can.
Okay, no problem at all. However, what was the complaint that you received in your office from Mr. Barksdale? What did that complaint state to you?
That Billy had set a remote, and he should not have been in his garage.
Okay.
He set a remote so the next time when he came to replace that section, he could open the door to get in the garage to finish the installation out.
And was Billy reprimanded for this act?
Yes. Yeah. We told him absolutely. He shouldn't, he should not be setting that. We know that you're not doing this out of the, for any other reason than to help the customer out, but that's just not something that should be done.
Okay. Has anything like this ever taken place at your company? Has an installer ever done something of this nature before?
Not that I know of. Has it happened? Probably has happened when they would know that they were coming back out, for a situation. We also have times where a customer doesn't want to be there the second time around and they want us to take care of it. So they'll have a set of remote so that they can come in.
Okay. Do you have any kind of training and procedure booklets as it concerns Fourth Amendment rights, right to privacy, garage being a part of the home, all of those things?
No, we don't. Not as it regards it to trespassing into somebody's home.
Okay. What, if anything, would you be considered would consider as a efficient or effective way to handle a matter like this at your company?
What would be an efficient? I'd usually talk to the customer, let them know that we understand their concern, and make a concession like, taking $100 or $200 off of it to make them feel better about the transaction.
Okay, so $100 to $200 max.
for something that did not, it was actually more efficient by the time he got there. The job was done again. So, I mean, we weren't taking more time out of his day. So again, should he have done it? No, he probably shouldn't have done that. Did it affect the customer as far as, the time spent there or whatever? I don't think it did. Sitting my manager out to make sure that he, in his mind, there's no way he could feel like somebody had an access to his garage door is what we thought was a very effective way to handle this, and send our manager out and make him feel better, and talk to the owner and talk to all the managers in the company. We really worked very hard to put his mind at ease.
Have you guys sent him invoices that ever reflected a discount of any kind?
I would have to check on that, but I know he verbally got one from me. I can tell you that much.
Okay. And final question, in regards to the manager that you sent out to his home, did he ever in any way try to negotiate or request a mediation of any kind before filing this lawsuit, or anyone from your office?
I believe Tracy did. Yeah, I believe Tracy tried to talk to him and collect from him many times. And again, I couldn't imagine people trying harder to negotiate this than we did. I mean, we certainly didn't want to be sitting here today. And this is truthfully, I don't know, probably in 24 years, I've probably had to do this maybe 2 or 3 times. That's how hard we work to make people happy and not have to go through things like this.
Do you have any evidence, any call logs, any emails, any text messages between you or your staff to Mr. Barksdale in an attempt to negotiate or mediate or resolve this matter in any other way before filing this, other the conversations that you're stating to?
All our calls are recorded.
Yeah, we've got recorded calls. So yeah, all of these things should be recorded. We record all our phone calls, so we don't have honestly some things like this happen.
Okay. We were scheduled for this a few weeks back. Do you have any of that prepared and ready to present to the court today?
We could absolutely get it over for you today. I'm sure that we could have that to you very quickly.
Okay, no further questions, Judge. For Mr. Watkins.
Thank you. Now, I heard about the installer being called. Is that the person you're going to call as a witness, Mr. Watkins, or is that someone you're going to call, Ms. Peterson? Well, first I'll begin with Mr. Watkins.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Do you intend to call the installer?
We could call the installer. We could also call my manager.
Well, okay. So
either one, whichever one. We could put everybody. We could have Tracy. Everybody. We can line them up right now if you'd like.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
All I'm asking is how you wish to proceed.
Why don't we get you the phone calls and I'll have my manager talk. I could have my manager talk right now. Kevin Hunt.
Okay, let me before we get to move further. I'm viewing this as a case where there's a contract for work to be done and the work was done. And I don't understand how this is getting to the point where either one side believes that they don't pay anything or the other side doesn't understand that at least the claim was 3 times the amount of the original estimate. So, and I say that, Mr. Watkins, to say that we can be here all day. I have two other people to deal with.
Well, listen, I understand, and I do agree with you, and I wasn't out planning on having anybody else on here. It seems very obvious to me that we've completed our work. Happy to supply anything else that you want us to. I'll just put that in your hands. If Ms. Peterson wants us to supply something, I'm happy to do it. And we didn't, as I said before, there was a mistake on the 3 times. We're not looking for that. So I'm not you know, I want you to be aware that that is not in play. We just want to collect our money for the door and then the court fees, and a small amount of interest, and I'll even waive that, you know, so we're really just trying to collect on what we deserve to be paid.
Hold on, Mr. Barksdale. You have a lawyer, so I'm not gonna address you. If you need to speak to your lawyer, I'll place you all in a breakout room to have a brief discussion. Do you want to speak to your lawyer?
No, it's not necessarily that I wanted to speak to my lawyer. It's just I just wanted a chance to actually speak. So if I'm gonna get a chance to speak, then I'm fine. That's all, sir.
Yes, you will.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So, Mr. Watkins, I have to be careful in that I'm not, as a judge, forcing you to do one thing or another. So that's why I asked the questions in the way that I asked the questions, so that you can decide what you want to do. But if you didn't intend to call any of the witnesses, I'm not inviting you to call other witnesses. If you don't want to do that, then we'll switch over to the defense side. And I understand that they want to call the installer. But Ms. Peterson, there's an acknowledgement that there was a panel dented.
Mm-hmm.
There's an acknowledgement that the installer set the opener so that when the installer came back, he went into the garage to install the panel. What is it that you expect the installer to testify to that is material to your claim?
So what we will be asking for is a discount, Judge. So my client is not trying to get out the full payment of the bill. So we're going to be basically showing that there was acknowledgement by the installer that he did do something wrong. He said he wasn't thinking, which that'll be, of course, in evidence because we have it as an exhibit, the text message between my client and him.
And I'm sorry, and that's the going into the garage.
Yes, that's without permission because my client had asked him to wait until he had gotten home. So when he arrived, he was there inside of his garage without authorization.
But that I take that as an admission that Mr. Watkins said that the installer went in and he probably shouldn't have gone in.
Right. So our position is that he has a right to privacy. His Fourth Amendment right was breached. He entered onto his property. His garage is a part of his home. Anything could have happened. His mother lives with him. Mr. Barksdale has been following a case in Texas where there was a service person who came to do something with cable, and the next day she was killed. There was a $7 billion punitive damages. There was a $325 million payout. So of course, with him following this and his mom being there most of the time, and someone accessing the garage, it was an expectation that he had of privacy that was definitely breached. And it's a right that he has fundamentally. So in the state of Georgia, of course, we're not talking criminal trespass, we're talking civil, but there's a fine of $1,000. And also the installer offered him a discount, half off of guns that I don't know if he works for a gun company or if he makes these guns. There was testimony that was going to come out that he makes guns. But he actually offered him that, and we have that in an exhibit as well, where he apologizes and says, "Hey, man, I wasn't thinking. I'm going to give you, half off, essentially half off on some guns." And he names the type of guns, sends pictures of the type of guns, which also was something that Mr. Barksdale found to be, a little eerie because it's like, okay, he's in my home, he's talking about, half off on guns, things of that nature. So yes, they sent a manager out to deprogram what he programmed without authorization, but that's just a violation all across the board. And so Mr. Barksdale, he believes he should be compensated, not compensated essentially, Judge, but that there should be a discount given as to this act that took place, this illegal, this unlawful act that took place on his property.
Okay, call Mr. Barksdale.
All right. Mr. Barksdale, you've already been sworn in. I'm going to ask you some questions, if you could.
Huh?
All right. What do you do for a living?
I own a credit repair business, and I also work with kids, teaching them how to use digital art and media as a form of expression.
Okay. And do you travel for work or work from home while you're doing what you do day to day?
I mostly work from home.
Okay. And do you own your home?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How long have you lived there?
I lived here for 3 years now.
Okay. And what city do you live in?
Riverdale, Georgia.
Okay. And at the time you hired all 4 seasons, was your mom living with you?
Yes.
Okay. How important is security at your home?
Security is very important for me. I have cameras and stuff that has been installed since this incident, just to cover that side of the house that wasn't covered, because it's just like the community that I live in and where I come from. Having nice things, you just simply want to protect them. You don't want people in your home without authorization, whether it's to do a job or whether it's to take some of your belongings.
Understood. Now, what service specifically did you contract all 4 seasons for?
To install a garage door, I had it's an older home, so it was just a carport. And so I was actually anticipating on buying a new car, a nicer car than what I had. And so I wanted some extra protection, and I also wanted to add value to my home.
And had you ever used all 4 seasons in the past for any previous homes or for any previous work for anyone you know?
Never actually. I just Googled them, and as Mr. Watkins said, they have great reviews, which is why I picked them, and also the pricing was competitive.
Okay. And on the date of install, let's talk about when you were called to sign off on the installation, what you noticed.
Okay, so this is sort of the part that's being breezed by, which is also what I'm taking into consideration with the amount that I'm asking for in the discount. So on the initial install, literally all 4 panels were bent. So when I called home office, I don't know if that was Tracy or whoever, but I was basically letting them know, like, hey, I'm not going to pay in full for a job that's not complete. And so the agreement was, hey, we'll come back out, we'll warranty out the panels, and then you can make the payment. So I had all intentions of paying, you know what I mean? It was just on the initial install, literally all 4 panels were bent.
Okay. And when you noticed that, did you make the installer aware as well?
Yeah, the installer was aware, and he also verbalized that I guess they called to confirm with him from home office or whatever, and he also confirmed that.
And how long did it take for someone to come out to install the new panels?
It took exactly a month.
Okay. And the installer, from the initial install to the person who came to repair it, were they different people?
Yes, 2 different people.
Okay. And the invoice that you received initially was for the amount of?
$2,000.
Okay.
$2,001 actually, and 60 cents.
Okay. And when the person who came to repair it, did they come 2 days, 1 day, 3 days? How many days?
So he came one day on his initial visit to warranty out the doors. He only bought 3 panels, which, like I said, it were 4 bent. And so basically he was saying, I'm gonna go ahead and install these 3, and then I'll return to install the last one, which will basically make the job complete.
Okay. And so were you present for the initial install as well as for the repair of the 3 of the 4 dented panels?
Yes, I was there. I got very well acquainted with Mr. Billy.
Okay. And when you say got really acquainted with Mr. Billy, what do you mean by that?
I just don't have people coming to do work around my house and I just sit in the living room. Like, I want to know who's on my property. So, we share some common interests, different hobbies that we were into, what I did for work, how long he's been installing garage doors, etc.
Okay. So basic general conversation.
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, did Mr. Billy tell you that he was going to be returning the next day, or did he return the next day?
So basically, he told me that I would receive confirmation from home office about when he would be returning to install the panels. And I believe that took about 5 days because he came on the 14th of January, and then I think he returned on January 19th.
Okay. So he didn't return the next day.
No,
Okay. So you weren't expecting him the next day and you would be home the next day.
right.
Okay. So there was no date set on that date either.
Right. I think I may have received a text message, maybe like a confirmation text the day before, and then an actual they're on the way the morning of. And so what I replied was, "Hey, I'm not there. Can you guys give me a couple minutes? Just let them know that I wasn't there. Well, I wasn't home yet."
Okay. And this was in text message form, correct?
Correct.
Judge, would you like to see? I have that as Exhibit B. If I
I
can-
saw it. I saw it in the filings.
Okay, good. Good deal. So you stated that you were not there. Could they come at a later time? Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Now let's talk about the time from when you sent that text to the time that you arrived to your home.
Maybe about 20 minutes later,
Okay.
in which I arrived. And so I'm hitting my garage door opener in my car to go ahead and open it because I see that his truck is already in the driveway. So I'm like, okay, he must be waiting in the car, in his truck or whatever. So once I get out, I hear banging, like basically someone's inside of my home. And so that's when I realized that he was already inside doing the job, which made me curious as to how did he get in.
So on the date that he came to complete that fourth panel, you had already received your garage door opener.
Right. I had my garage door opener for about a month and 3 weeks at this point.
Okay. And you were never told that there were other openers that would be able to open up your garage, and you never gave permission for him to open it up at any other time.
No, definitely not someone's personal garage door opener being programmed to my garage door opener to get in my house while I'm not there to be more time efficient. I wouldn't have agreed to that.
So what was the conversation? So when you saw that his car was there, he wasn't in the car, talk about what happened next.
Basically, I was clearly upset, and I was asking him, "How were you able to get in?" And that's when he told me that his private garage door opener that he has, he was able to program it to my house, well, to my garage door opener, so that he could get in. And I'm like, "Why is that okay?" And he was like, "Well, I had a lot of tickets. I have a lot of jobs that I'm trying to complete. So in the event that you weren't home, I wanted to just be able to go ahead and get it knocked out." But he was apologetic about doing so. Maybe he said he was moving too fast or whatever. But for me, it was just a breach of security. It's like you're basically in my home while I'm not there, whether it's to do a job or whether it's to steal. It's like that was not something that I was aware of.
And how did the service tech attempt to make amends for accessing your garage without permission?
He offered to give me a discount on guns that he built himself.
Okay, is this something that you ever stated that you wanted to purchase from him or tell him?
I'm gonna be honest. I was definitely interested. Like I said, we got well acquainted when he was first there. I'm not some sort of gun collector, but I do own guns, hence why I'm so big on privacy. And I was definitely interested, but for you to basically break in my house and then offer me a discount on guns, it just didn't mix well.
Okay. And did you take advantage of that offer in any way? Did you even respond to the message at all?
No, I didn't. I just screenshotted it because I figured something like this was gonna happen.
Okay. And what was the next step or the next action that you took in order to resolve this matter with the company?
So pretty much I called home office again with pretty much another complaint. And they told me that they would, I guess, talk it over with the team and figure out what type of agreement we could all come to and to pretty much rectify the matter.
And what was ever done?
Pretty much they offered me, like, which is true, what he said, $100 to $200 off. And for me, Billy essentially breaking in and a job that basically takes a day, like Mr. Watkins stated, had basically turned into a 3 to 4 month process. And so him breaking in was only the icing on the cake. I wanted compensation for how long this job had taken, and as well as him breaking in. So $102 just wouldn't suffice for me.
So when you say 3 to 4 months, you had 1 month for the completion, and then the second month was the manager, or the third month was the manager coming to de-install the programmed garage opener from Mr. Billy Gunn.
But that was the third month by the time the manager came out.
Okay, so that's why you're saying a total of 3 months.
Right.
A job that should have took 1 day.
Right.
Okay. Can you also access the inside of your home through your garage?
Correct. Yes.
And do you keep that door open primarily?
Once I had the garage door opener installed, the garage installed, yes, it's typically open.
Did you feel your concerns were ever taken serious by the company?
Not really. It's just like, well, we saved you time. So here's $200 off. And for me, it's just taken very, very lightheartedly. And for me, for the fact that Billy still works there, a year and a half later, it's just like, this is how y'all rectify the problem. Y'all keep employees that just break in. That's unacceptable.
No further questions.
Mr. Watkins, do you have any questions for Mr. Barksdale?
Yeah, Mr. Barksdale just brought up that, pretty much nobody really cared a whole lot about what had happened with him. Would you feel like the conversation you had with me, that I showed no compassion and I wasn't an understanding person to you on the phone?
I'm actually excited that you asked that, because I never spoke with you.
Okay. Next question. You said he broke some, what did he break anything that of your property when he was in your garage?
He never broke anything. He never broke anything, never stole anything. That wasn't my complaint.
Okay,
My complaint that he was inside of my home without
did not steal anything.
Hold on. For both of you, I just need one person to talk at a time. So when Mr. Watkins is done asking a question, you can respond, Mr. Barksdale, and when Mr. Barksdale is done, you can respond, Mr. Watkins.
Okay. Just want to, so he did not steal anything.
No.
Were you aware as that you talked about a text message you sent him when he was en route to your home? Did you ever note if he ever read that message before he saw you?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Can you?
Were you aware if he had read that message before you arrived on the scene and he was in the garage? I mean, were you aware if he had read that message before he arrived at your home?
No, I wasn't aware.
Okay. Was the job completed? Was the garage door that you ordered installed and installed properly?
Yes, it was completed 4 months later.
Really, at this time, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Any redirect, Ms. Peterson?
One quick question. Mr. Barksdale, although you stated that you have no clue if he read the message, was he apologetic in his response message to you and said he was not thinking at the time?
Yes, he did. He was very apologetic. I will give him that.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Watkins, do you have any summation?
Do I want to submit anything for
any final statements?
Yeah, I guess my final statement would be we do have these recorded conversations that we can provide to the court. I did talk to Mr. Barksdale. I talked to him for a long time. I was very sympathetic to Mr. Barksdale. I was the one, I offered him $200 off when I spoke with him. I really wanted to resolve this. It was a very long conversation, and I don't know if he's confused over because he spoke with so many different people for so many, so long, that's where the confusion came in. But I can tell you 100%, we had a long conversation about this. And really at the end of the day, when we just couldn't collect this, this is our only recourse to recoup our funds. We certainly apologize. Don't need to prove anything, just, over him going in the garage. It seemed like Billy and Mr. Barksdale actually, got along very well, or he wasn't a threat to him. Certainly understand him not wanting to be in there. I mean, that's a position that, of course, that we, the fact that I didn't fire him, I'm sorry that Mr. Barksdale feels like I should have fired him. When you have 40 employees, there's things that happen at different times, and you use your best judgment as a business owner to, I certainly, pride ourselves in our customer service. Very, very important to me. It's how I built my business. This is not the type of thing that I ever want to have happen. And we certainly worked extremely hard to make this not come to this point. Again, at this point, we're looking to get the money that we think we deserved. And as far as the dented sections and the time it takes, this is not an unreasonable amount of time by any stretch. In fact, over the course of the last couple of years, it would have been closer to 15 weeks with most garage door companies in that situation. When that happens, garage doors are produced, they are put on a semi, they are driven to our location. We were pulling them off of a truck. We were putting them away. Then we were pulling them back off. We were setting them up for a garage door installer. Then he has to put them up on his truck. He has to secure these sections. He has to drive to a location, then take them off and install these. It is likely, and things do happen where you have dented sections. And unfortunately, that's just a common procedure over, in the garage door business. That is not uncommon at all. And we always try to do our best, and we certainly make mistakes. And, I certainly wish that he didn't set that remote button to go in the house. And I definitely wish that he had not had dented sections, because that's not the type of service that we like to provide. But we also feel like we always also will do whatever we have to do to get the job done at the end of the day and make a customer happy. So, and we feel like we did do that.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes, Judge. Are you ready for me to call Mr. Billy?
Again, okay, call Mr. Billy. But
You've already heard enough about Mr. Billy, I'm sure, Judge.
yes, but I'm telling you, you can call him, but I'm gonna be tough on asking questions that the answer has already been given.
Okay. Well, I think we've heard enough, but I guess 2 or 3 questions, just so that the court could see Billy, and so that we could be able to just do what we need to do to bolster our position.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Billy.
Morning.
All right. So, do you recall going to service the property of Mr. Maris Barksdale?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. On the date that you went there to complete the 4th dented panel, is it your testimony to the court that you did install a garage opener without permission?
I installed the panel, the top piece of the door.
Mm-hmm. And your access into the garage, did you access the garage with an unauthorized garage door opener that you?
I used it the first time I installed the door. I used the opener to open and shut the door, because I can't get out of the garage without, or can't get back in without it.
But on the first day that you came, Mr. Barksdale was present. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And on the second day, he stated that he was going to contact you when he was en route. Do you recall that?
No, I was scheduled to be there at like 8 to 10. And
Okay.
I got there, I believe, at 9 o'clock.
Okay. But do you recall a text message where you apologize and you say you weren't thinking and offer him a discount on guns?
Yeah, that was after he'd already came home.
Okay.
Never told me that he was going to be late.
Okay. So he did state it in a text message, but you never saw it. Is that correct?
No, he never texted me. I don't know if I still.
Okay, so are you aware of two different text messages? Well, of course, you have a cell phone of your own where you contact the client, but then are you aware of a company message that goes out to the client as well? Are you
No.
familiar with that? You don't know about that? Okay. So yes, I provided the court with that. So you would not be aware of that. Okay. How were you reprimanded for this act at the company?
No, they just told me not to do it again.
Okay. And Mr. Barksdale never responded to you and your offer, is that correct, for the gun? Okay, no further questions.
Okay.
Okay, Judge, you ready for my closing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so based on the evidence presented today, Judge, it appears that the owner is being very light about this violation of my client's Fourth Amendment right to privacy. The Supreme Court of the United States has long stated that the garage is a part of the home. Mr. Barksdale also stated that now that he has the garage, he also keeps his door that accesses his home unlocked, as most people do. It is also testimony today that's been presented from Mr. Billy that he apologized, although he states he didn't see the message that was sent from the company. He apologized for coming onto the property and was not thinking. He also offered Mr. Barksdale guns, discounted guns that he makes himself, and Mr. Barksdale did not take advantage of that as to a way to make amends for this situation. The owner also stated plenty of times today that he just wants to be paid. And although he is saying that he's very, very sorry, he made no means at all, Judge, to attempt to negotiate or to mediate this situation prior to filing a complaint. Mr. Barksdale has been following a case, Gil the Christian, it's a case in Texas, actually, and the case has just been resolved. And it's where there was, which I mentioned to you before, Dallas, Texas Golf v. Charter Communications, where there was a judgment just a week or so ago that was rendered for $375 million and $7 billion punitive damages for a service person coming to access a home to do a service and then the next day coming to kill someone. My client stated that his mother lives with him. Security is very important to him. So all he could think about is what could happen if someone came and accessed his garage and did something similar to the case that he had been following. So, of course, Mr. Barksdale, being irate and upset and frustrated and having plenty of conversations with the company shows that security means a lot to him and that he just wants to make sure that his privacy rights are adhered to. In the state of Georgia, although this is civil trespass, when there is criminal trespass, there is a fine of $1,000 or 1 year into prison. So we're making a creative argument here. And also, if you look at what was offered by Mr. Billy, he was offering half off on guns that are upwards of $1,000+, and he was asking for half off of those to make amends. Also, in the state of Georgia, when there is a violation or there's a civil trespass, the person is entitled to nominal damages, which is to be decided by the judge or the jury. And that's OCGA 51-9-1 states that the right of enjoyment of private property is an absolute right of every citizen. Every act of another which unlawfully interferes with such enjoyment is a tort for which an action shall lie. I do have a case of Wright v. Wilcox. That's 262 Georgia App 659. When a landowner has demonstrated that a trespass has occurred, general damages do not have to be proven with any amount to an absolute certainty for recovery of such damages, and gives right to nominal damages to vindicate such right. So when there's wrongful interference with the comfortable enjoyment of property by a person in possession, no precise rule for ascertaining damages can be given. Therefore, the jurors are left to say what in their judgment the defendant ought to pay in view of the discomfort or the annoyance to which my client and his family has been subjected to by the trespass. So we are asking the court to, at minimum, deduct $1,000 from the bill for this discomfort and annoyance to which my client was subjected to by the trespass. We've already stated what those statutes are and what was offered for the guns, and that's basically our position as to why our creative argument should be warranted.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. I am going to rule on behalf of the plaintiff in this case. And I'm going to issue a money judgment for $2,001 plus court costs. And I'm going to dismiss the counterclaim. Is there anything else?
Not on our end. Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, that'll be all.
Okay, the parties are free to leave. Okay. Mr. Nelms.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. For the record, this is going to be the last case. It's position number 9, case number 2021 CM 21154, Republic Finance LLC versus Dorothy Brown. Mr. Nelms is here on behalf of Republic Finance, and Ms. Brown is here present, and she is representing herself. Mr. Nelms, what is your relationship to Republic Finance?
I manage the branch where her loan was serviced.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm going to ask the both of you to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm any statements you make in this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Nelms, this is your case, so tell me why you think Ms. Brown owes you this money.
Yeah, she took out a loan with us back in December of 2020. She was initially set up for 42 payments of $312, with payments starting on January the 6th of 2021. And her loan became delinquent July 6th of 2021, and currently is still delinquent and due for that date. At the time of filing in November of 2021, the amount that was owed was $7,897.57. Seeking that amount plus the $100 it costs to file and have her served in Clayton County in court costs.
Okay. Ms. Brown, what's your position?
Like I had explained to him, I had did a consolidation with Turnbull because I was in a head-on accident last year, May 23rd, and I ended up being out of work, and my payments was on time until I had the accident. I had the accident in May, and as he said, it went in default in July. I did not return back to work until November. Then this year, March the 30th, I ended up having spinal surgery, just like I explained to him. But I had already initiated the loan consolidation with Turnbull. And I still haven't went back to work. I've been out of work. The doctor has not released me.
Loan consolidation. Can you explain to me what exactly what you did?
What I did, I consulted them regarding the bills that I had because I had been out of work because I had fractures in my leg and I couldn't work. I couldn't even walk. So that's the reason I did the loan consolidation. And from my understanding, they had all my bills put into one like one stack consolidation, and they are supposed to be paying my bills.
Did you
And I
share?
had told Mr. I don't know, I can't think of his name. I had talked to them and told them, but they said they tried to get in contact with them and they was not successful. They didn't return their calls.
Okay, so when you say they and them, you're
I'm talking about the
confusing
company.
Turnbull or Republic Finance?
I talked to Republic Finance to let them know that I was in the consolidation loan with that company. And I gave them the number also.
Did you share the information with Republic Finance?
Yes, I did.
I mean, in writing or just
No,
over the phone?
We talked over the phone, sir.
Okay. Mr. Nelms, do you have any proof of this contact?
No, we do admit that she told us verbally. Like I explained to her when she first told me personally, because I tend to call before the account goes to legal as the manager, that those particular groups aren't all that they're cracked up to be. We do make an attempt to reach out to them, but usually it may only be once or twice because we have so many accounts. If she signed up with them, we expected to hear from them. But we never heard back from Turnbull. I even explained to Ms. Brown personally back in July and August that those companies, they're not going to be able to resolve the issue all the time. And I even tried to encourage her, that it was her right to go with an outside company, but we could negotiate payment plans with her, as I would try to do today as well. But she just was very stern that I'm sticking with Turnbull, and Turnbull told me not to even talk to you guys. And once you use the word lawyer, we don't attempt to call Ms. Brown at all anymore either. We try to go through the representation for a certain amount of time until we receive something in writing. We'll cease the collections, and we never heard from Turnbull. But she did tell us that she was going through them. She did provide a number. If I'm not mistaken, they're out of state. I think she may have gotten them online or something. I'm not sure, but we were never able to make contact with them, and we never heard from them in writing or a phone call.
Ms. Brown, your answer, you acknowledged the debt and you were requesting a payment schedule.
Yes.
You couldn't work that out with Mr. Nelms?
Well, like I said, I had been in a car accident and I wasn't working, so I wasn't getting any income. I didn't go back to work until November. And as he said, my payments was good up to July. I had the accident in May and I was still trying to make those payments. But then after I had back surgery this year, I haven't been working. I haven't worked since February, and I only went to work for 2 months after being off of work for 5.5 months. And this time I'm still off since February.
Now, you understand that I can't negotiate any kind of agreement with you.
Yes,
I can only determine whether you owe the money or not and issue a judgment.
Okay.
So that's why I always ask people to speak to each other before we start this process, because once it's like being on a train track. I can't go left to right. I got to go straight ahead. And so unless there's an agreement, I'm going to have to enter a judgment on behalf of Republic Finance.
I understand that, but just like I was explaining to him, I haven't been released from the doctor yet. I've been trying to go back to work, but the doctor would not release me yet. I go to the doctor on Thursday. As soon as he releases me, I can go back to work, and I agree to pay them.
Okay.
But I'm not working.
I understand. I do understand, Ms. Brown. Mr. Nelms, your claim was $7,897.57. Is that counting interest?
Up to the day we filed, yes, sir. And I don't have the breakdown of it, so it hasn't been accruing anything since November the 11th, the date that we filed. But it did include late charges and interest up until that date that was e-filed with Craig County. And as a side note, while we do ask for your ruling, we're asking for a judgment in our favor. We still would be able to work something out with her after the fact, which we have done with numerous, defendants before. I am not opposed, and I don't know, per se what you're able to do. But if she goes to the doctor on Thursday and they are releasing her to work, possibly, I don't mind you setting this aside for a period of time to see if she goes to work and giving her time to, come back and negotiate a payment, which I could even put the first payment of that negotiation out 30 to 45 days from that date. If that's something that she feels, but we do want to try to work it out. But then too, I know that, judges are trying to clear calendars and stuff as well.
Right. How do you feel about that, Miss Brown?
That's good. That's okay with me.
I'm going to do no less than 30, no greater than 45 days. I'm going to ask for you to stay in contact with Mr. Nelms, because if you all can work something out, you can just submit an agreement, consent agreement, and you can go back to being on payments. Okay, does that work for both parties?
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
And Ms. Brown, just to let you know, I have to have original signatures for us before we e-file. So once we negotiate anything, it just requires you to come by my branch to sign the consent.
Okay.
The agreement, the consent judgment is what it's called. But, just let me know, and if you can call me Thursday or Friday after the appointment, we can negotiate